I'm joined today with Himadri Ji from Satvic Movement, based over in Gurgaon in India. Himadri Ji is a health educator, and Satvic Movement is an organization with the tagline, bringing man closer to Mother Nature. Satvic Movement, as we're hopefully going to find out, helps people who aren't that well get better using dietary and natural lifestyle means. And I also presume helps people who are already healthy be even healthier too. So really excited to speak to Himadri today and get a bit of the knowledge that she has around nutrition. Himadri, welcome to Fever 107.3 FM.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here, to be able to interact with all of you.
It's a pleasure to have you, and so I wanted to bring you in for an interview because well, we're dealing here, with a lot of our listeners are Asians, either from Pakistan, India, Bangladesh, and over here in the UK, many Asians are seen to suffer with more incidents of disease, particularly when it comes to kidney disease, diabetes, even cardiovascular disease. We suffer with much higher rates of incidence than the local population. And I understand, perhaps you can give us a bit of a background to Satvic Movement, but I understand Satvic Movement approaches the problem of disease from an entirely lifestyle approach. So perhaps you can give us a little bit of a background as to what Satvic Movement do and perhaps some of the achievements that you've had so far.
All right, Lokesh. So we'll begin with what our movement does, and then we can move on to the question that you asked about diseases. Like many people all across the world, not just Asia, are suffering from diabetes. It's just like a very normal disease that we have tagged in today's day and age. So Satvic Movement is a non-profit health education platform which believes in delivering holistic health knowledge in very implementable terms, in easy terms, so that it can be applied by a common man living a modern lifestyle. So this is what we do to bring the knowledge of natural health, natural living, so that all of us can live it and reap benefits from it. Talking about diseases, the core philosophy that we have around diseases is very different from what we all hear. What we hear in today's day and age, what the medical science says, is that diabetes belongs to a different part of your body, that thyroid belongs to a different part of your body, that some other XYZ disease belongs to a different part. So it's a very segregated approach. The whole body, you can imagine it dividing into different parts and then treating those parts with tablets, with drugs, with all of that.
It's what they call a reductionist approach.
Yeah, exactly. But what we believe in is, and what natural hygiene, natural health believes in, is that the whole body is one single unit. It's not fragmented. It's not compartmentalized into different organs, different parts. So all diseases have one root cause, and that is a very common, very important fundamental principle of our philosophy, that is unity of disease. And it talks about the fact that all diseases have one common cause. And when I say this, I'm very sure that many of the listeners, and even you sitting right in front of me, would think that, oh, this can't be true. This sounds very unscientific. And the cause of all diseases, as we share, is the toxins that have accumulated because of our modern lifestyle, the kind of lifestyles that we live. And because the cause is one, the treatment line also goes one, and we call it the unity of treatment. So as and when we start detoxifying the body and we start nourishing the body with proper nutrition, the nutrition that body needs, it desires, automatically, be it high blood pressure, be it diabetes, be it thyroid, be it any other lifestyle disorder, these diseases will eventually disappear. So it's not like we are targeting a particular disease. We are simply raising the level of health of the body, and automatically the diseases go away.
Okay.
So yeah, that's the basic philosophy.
So unity of disease, unity of treatment. And you're saying that whatever the problem that the person or the body is experiencing, whether that be diabetes or cardiovascular problems or what have you, the treatment methodology is the same. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, exactly. The treatment methodology for all these diseases is the same.
And the methodology is based on the principle of either you've got too much toxicity in your body, or you're lacking in nutrition. Is that correct?
Yeah. So mostly in almost all cases, the first thing that we do is with in our treatment protocol, what we share in all our workshops and in our videos is it's a two-step approach. It's like you take out the waste that's there in the body, you take out the toxins, and then you take in the right kind of food. You nourish the body with the right kind of food. And one very common question that would come in the mind is, from where did these toxins come from? Like, where did this dirt comes from? The body appears mostly clean from the outside, but like, what is it that's not required by the body and it's still stored in the body? So that's a very important point that needs to be addressed.
Yes,
What are toxins?
I was going to say something. When we think of toxins, we might think of if you smoke, obviously cigarette smoke, if you drink alcohol, maybe alcohol, etc., etc. But for somebody who doesn't drink alcohol, doesn't smoke, where do the toxins come from?
Yeah, exactly. People do come up with these questions that I don't smoke at all, but still I have thyroid. I don't do I don't put in any such thing that's not required by the body, and still I have so and so diseases. So there are many different sources from where we get these get toxins accumulated inside the body. The number one cause is the kind of food that we are eating today. It's very, very different from what our body was made to eat by nature. So if you imagine, the more, for example, let's understand this. It would have been nice if we had a visual thing here. I could have shown you some pictures, but I'll try to explain it on voice. So imagine there's this whole restaurant where you're served fries and pizzas and burgers and all of that. And you just imagine the process that has led towards the final product that you see in the shelves. There's wheat that comes from the farm. There are vegetables which come from the farm, if there are any vegetables. There's some other thing. But the whole processing that happens, it takes away the life from that food. And what you're served towards the end is lifeless food. Similarly, food that we get in the supermarket shelves, all packed, all filled up with preservatives, with chemicals. So the modern man has a very high consumption of these denatured foods, these dead foods. And that's number one cause, that whenever we eat such dead food, the body is made to absorb nutrients from living food. And if it's stuffed with food that doesn't belong here, then it is not able to assimilate that properly. And if anything doesn't get assimilated properly in the body, the body can't eliminate it fully, and as a result it stays in the body and it forms toxins, and it's not able to get eliminated fully. And so denatured food, all the processed food, is one major cause of toxins in the body. There are many different causes. Sedentary lifestyle that we all live today, a very subtle cause, eating without feeling hunger, without feeling a real sense of hunger inside our stomachs, just filling up, looking at the time that, oh my God, it's 1 o'clock, so I have to rush for the lunch, without proper hunger in the body. The body is not ready to digest the food, and we just stuff in with food. And there are other causes also, but primarily.
Are you saying we should only eat when, I was having a conversation about this just yesterday, actually. Are you saying that we should only eat when we're hungry? I mean, like, some people say that breakfast is the most important meal of the day, for instance. If you wake up and you're not hungry, do you recommend that you eat breakfast?
So I'll ask you one thing. Hunger is what? Like, what does the body try to say when the body feels hungry? When your stomach feels genuinely hungry?
I'm I'm thinking of somebody I know who's a little bit more older than me, who's saying, did, emptier kuch pies? It'd probably be what they think. But I guess looking at more biological terms, it's saying that I need energy, I need nutrients, is what the desire for hunger should actually mean, right?
It's that it's ready for food, that it's
That's
ready to
ready for food.
digest food.
That's
Yeah, so hunger is basically your body's way to tell, okay, I'm ready for food. And an interesting point I'll share here, there are two types of hunger that we all experience. One, as we explain in our workshops, one is real hunger, and the other is the hunger of the mind. So one of our masters said that if you get plain cucumbers when you're genuinely hungry, when there's genuine hunger, and you just have plain unsalted cucumber kept right in front of you, you will just eat it back to back without thinking, oh my god, I don't like it. So that's the nature of true hunger. And hunger of the mind is whenever you really want some specific thing, that oh my god, I'm craving for that pizza, I'm craving for that burger, I'm craving for this fries. Please understand, it's the hunger of the mind. When you have the option to choose, it's your mind asking for food. But real hunger is like, you don't want to choose, just get me anything, I'll eat it. That's the nature of hunger. So hunger is primarily body telling you that, okay, I'm ready to digest food, give it to me right now. And as you asked, if you wake up in the morning and you don't feel hungry at all, that means the body is not ready. The previous meal has not fully digested in the body. And give it some time. When you feel hungry appropriately, then you give it food, then it will get digested. If we keep pushing in food one after the other, the previous meal has not gotten digested, so it all again ultimately turns into toxins, because undigested food is the worst thing that the body can carry.
Okay, I mean, so somebody said to you, Himadri, look, I had my last meal at 8 o'clock last night. I've woken up now, 8 o'clock in the morning the next day. It's 9 o'clock. Surely my food has all been digested, and I need energy for the rest of the day. I need what they say, breakfast of kings, lunch of I don't know, it was dinner of paupers or something like that, isn't it? So what would you say to that person?
The proverb that you're mentioning is an age-old proverb. And I remember we were discussing it a few days back, that we were made to believe, we are conditioned to believe that breakfast is like a must-have meal. You can't really afford to bypass it or do anything without it. But in the morning when you wake up, the question that you asked right now, in the morning when you wake up, it's 8 o'clock and you're not hungry, you're not feeling like eating, then wait for some time. When you feel like eating, then you can have your meal. And slowly, when you start eating as per your hunger, a very intuitive body clock gets set that okay, this time I feel hungry, this time I doesn't feel hungry. But when we eat food as per the clock, that okay, 1 o'clock, it's my lunchtime, I have lost connection with my own hunger, with my own bodily needs. And I'm just looking at the time, something external, and then just eating it compulsively. So that's something that creates a problem in the long run.
I think it's a good perspective, actually. And there's a lot at the moment, people doing like OMAD, 1 meal a day, or intermittent fasting, where they're literally kind of forcing themselves into a certain window of eating, which on one degree is not bad, because there's so much overeating going on in the world that maybe reducing that amount isn't necessarily a bad thing. But it also negates the thing that you're saying, which is really listen to your body. When it's saying, I'm hungry, feed it. Don't try and fit into a 3 times a day kind of philosophy or anything else. Just try and really listen to your body. So, I mean, tell me, so following the principles, and you'll need to explain to us a little bit more about what the dietary principles are at Satvic Movement. What kind of conditions are you able to treat, manage or even reverse using the kind of the lifestyle principles that you have? What success stories have you seen so far?
So the most common ones are diabetes, high blood pressure. Then we have healing stories of psoriasis, which is an autoimmune disease, rheumatoid arthritis. There's a whole list of diseases. Actually, I don't remember them right now, but on our website, we have many, many healing stories written. Thyroid, yes, many, many stories from thyroid. Weight loss, it's like it works wonders for people who want to lose weight. And ulcers, some of them have got rid of ulcers, of colitis, many other health problems. There's a whole list. I don't particularly recall the names. I'm not able to do that right now.
Okay, no worries. Ulcers, colitis, arthritis, quite serious conditions, aren't they? And often kind of described as chronic. And so you're saying that these conditions simply go away. I mean, we need to talk about what the diet actually is, but are you doing anything else other than diets? Or is it just a dietary approach?
It's a holistic approach. Diet is one thing. Then other than that, there's movement in the body. Movement is another very important pillar in the healing lifestyle. Then in the taking out part that I mentioned in the previous part, in the initial part of the interview, there are detoxifying therapeutic techniques that talks about intermittent fasting, 16 hours fasting. Then there is enema that is used to clear out the waste from the intestines. Then there is wet pack. I can go deep into it if it's needed. And these are the three things that are used for the take out part, that is detoxification part. And then there is sunbathing that is recommended. And then, of course, the diet is one of the most important things.
Okay.
These are small bits that I just said right now.
And so what would the diet look like? What could somebody expect? If they've got diabetes or they've got arthritis and they come to you and say, look, I'd like to try your approach. What would the diet look like?
So there are 4 main principles that a person needs to follow just with respect to the diet. So the first principle is there's an abbreviation called LWPW. It's very easy to remember. So L stands for living food that has prana, food that has life force, that has energy. I shared a bit about it in the previous section, but it's living food is primarily that food that is very close to nature, like something that comes directly from the farm to your house. And if from the farm, if something is going to a factory and then getting processed and the whole nature is getting changed and then it is coming to you, then it's called dead food. So you can take examples of a tomato and a tomato ketchup. So tomatoes are something that come directly from farm to you. And tomato ketchup, on the other hand, the tomatoes first go to the factory, they get processed, they get loaded with sugar, with preservatives, with color, packed in a nice bottle, shown an advertisement of, and then placed on the grocery store. So that's the root of tomato ketchup. So tomato ketchup is dead and tomatoes are all living. They have the life force, they have the energy within them. So living food is one of the first principle of the Satvic food plan that we share.
So does living food mean raw food?
Not particularly raw food. Food that, so it can be cooked, it can be raw, but it should not be processed in any form. So all fruits, all vegetables, cereals, grains, nuts and seeds, all of these come under the category of living foods.
Okay. So it can be cooked, but it should arrive to you uncooked is probably the idea.
So raw food, you're right in a way that the question was interesting. That is like doesn't like when we heat a particular food, like doesn't it become dead back again? Was this your question?
Yeah, I mean, like, you know, is a cooked food, would a dal that's been prepared from freshly harvested lentils and freshly harvested tomatoes, etc., because it's been cooked, it's been denatured to some degree. Would you describe that as living food?
Technically speaking, like for the like as I shared, for the ease of understanding and implementation for people,
Yeah.
cooked food is not completely removed from the Satvic lifestyle.
Okay.
So raw food is like it's the most ideal, you would say. But it's when it comes to the implementation, especially amongst the masses, it's very very difficult for people to go 100% raw. So one meal in the healing plan is cooked food, and one meal is raw, and the breakfast is definitely raw. So there's a fine balance that's been maintained, because the tongue, the mind, the body is accustomed for many years to digest cooked food. So that's one element that's retained in the healing plan, the meal plan also.
Okay.
So if you ask me that way, that whether a cooked dal is living or dead, so I would say that in the Satvic plan, it's considered as a living food.
Okay, great. And so that's LWPW. So what's the next? What's W?
So W stands for wholesome. And wholesome primarily means that the food that we are eating should be in the same form in which nature gave it to us. So let's take the example of sugar. Maybe sugar, the white sugar that we get, that we use everywhere these days. So it comes from sugarcane. It gets processed. If you know about jaggery, it gets converted to jaggery. And even when it's converted to jaggery, it has certain nutrition, it has some amount of nutrients. But when it's even more processed, even more refined, that all the minerals, all the vitamins are ripped off, and only the sweetness is retained. Sweetness is crystallized. That we call sugar. So a lot of nutrient loss, a lot of processing has been done between the whole sugarcane and white sugar. So wholesome means to consume whole foods and not fragmented foods. When we fragment a particular food, we use one part and we remove the other part. So the whole idea is to consume whole foods and not fragmented ones.
Okay, great. So we're saying living food, wholesome food, and then we've got P and W. But actually, Himadri, what I'd like to do, we need to take a short break for the advertisements that will be coming up. But if we can keep you for part 2, and we'll continue this discussion, and also complete these 4 principles: LWPW, living food, wholesome, and we're yet to find out what the P and the W stand for. So if you just keep it locked with us for the moment, and we'll be back with you in just a moment or 3. Thank you. And we're back for part 2 of the interview with Satvic Movement. We have Himadri, a health educator, who's with us and is helping us to understand their approach and some of the principles that are involved in treating people at the center that they have in Gurgaon, just near Delhi. And Himadri ji, you were talking about 4 main principles that you drive at the center, and they go under the acronym of LWPW. And we'd spoken a little bit about the first 2, the first one being living food, and the second one being wholesome food, I guess. Living food being that which has life within it, and wholesome food being the food should come pretty much in their complete state, not extracted foods, for instance, like granulated white sugar, or something of that order. So please continue. We have P and W still to go.
Yeah, so the last 2 ones that were left were P and W. We'll start with P. So P stands for plant-based foods. And that's a very important pillar of Satvic food. Plant-based foods mean that everything that we eat should come from plants and not from animals, like the common animal foods that are consumed, meat, fish, eggs, or milk. So the reason behind this is multifold. The first thing, if you talk about meat per se, meat, for the explanation of meat, let's take an example of a typical carnivore and an omnivore. We were taught this in school. Like, I remember this being taught in my school days. But when we take workshops now and when we explain this concept now, there are questions that come up. But if you are hearing it for the first time, you can pop up your questions in between. So primarily, the physiological differences between carnivores and human beings are considered in this particular domain. When you look at a tiger and when you look at his teeth, so there are sharp canines that can tear apart the flesh of an animal in a jungle that it catches. And when you talk about a human being, many people said that, okay, we also have these two sharp pointed canines right here. Then it makes a lot of sense that we too are meat-eating creatures. We were created as meat-eating creatures by nature. But just imagine with this level of sharpness, can you tear apart the flesh of maybe a chicken, a chicken in its whole form, a live living chicken? So that would be a tough job to do, and it won't be a seamless process, I'm sure. Not good to imagine at all. Then when we talk about nails, so all meat-eating creatures, you can observe the nails of a dog, of a cat, of a lion. They have very sharp nails that can, again, tear apart the flesh. But human beings have kind of flat nails. They're not suitable, they're not sharp and pointy as the nails of carnivores. Then fingers, if you talk, they have very small fingers and we have long fingers to pluck the fruit, to peel the fruit, to maybe to dig, to do different kinds of things. So yeah, there are many physiological differences that are there in the body of a meat-eating creature and a plant-eating creature, and we resemble more to a plant-eating creature. And when you talk about milk, so this was all about the consumption of meat. And milk, there are, like in Satvic movement, we are not against milk, because in the country that we belong from, India, milk has been a very important cultural part of the whole
it's celebrated, really, isn't it? I mean, in fact, the name of your organization is Satvic Movement, and milk and most milk products are often described as being Satvic, if I'm correct.
Yeah.
All right.
Milk is one such thing which is said, and which is mentioned in many of the scriptures of the religion. Milk is something that's like a very, very highly sattvic food, a very, very high pranic food that's considered by our Vedas and by our scriptures. But the reason we don't recommend milk is different here. The kind of milk that we are getting today is not the similar milk that we used to get 100 years back or 200 years back. So there are various reasons behind milk. There was one report which was published in the Economic Times, that the adulteration of milk is so high, especially in India, that that chemicals like urea, detergents, white paint, all of this are added. And if you just type these keywords, the adulteration of milk in India on YouTube, you'll find 100 videos just sharing how milk is made and how the production just escalates during the Diwali season, during any such festival. So most milk that's available in the market is adulterated in today's day and age, and people don't know about it, that the milk that they're getting, most people think that, okay, the milk that comes at my house is not adulterated.
I've got to say, I've had this conversation with Indians, you know, in near where you are actually, in Delhi before, and they'll say like Anmol or Mother's Dairy, like the government sponsored ones. No, they go to the small villages and they deal with local farmers, and the milk is of a good quality, is what they would say within the cities.
Yes, and nobody I don't nobody I don't understand, but nobody tries to find out from where the milk is coming. They don't backtrace, but there's this blind faith that the milk that is delivered at my place can't be like that. The sweets that I am eating can't be made of adulterated milk. There's this belief, but the studies, the researchers show otherwise. So yeah, new perspective can be gained by a common man.
Okay, I mean, so
And
Himadri, like just going back on or staying on the milk point, what of, I mean, the likelihood of being able to access this kind of milk or this kind of cow is very unlikely. I understand that in the modern day world. But what of the local, you know, the villager in India who has their own cows, you know, milks their own cows and uses that milk for their family, etc. Would that milk be Satvic or not?
so I was about to come on the second point, which will cover the fact that you've just mentioned right now. The state that you just mentioned, that there's a farmer, he has a cow, and the milk is taken from the cow and is fed to the family. There are many dimensions to it. The milk industry has become highly commercial in today's age. Even the farmer, like if we really go deep down on this level, even the farmer that is directly taking out milk from the cow, if you just see the population of bulls in that area, or if you go a level deeper into understanding that, was that cow given injections to be able to produce more milk, there would be a series of truths that would unfold. So there are hardly any like I won't say there are hardly any farmers left, but this particular problem of injecting cows with hormones so that they can produce more and more milk, and that milk, because that milk is the source of livelihood for that person, for that farmer, so he would want to extract more and more from the creature. And as a result, especially for someone who wants to heal a particular disease, that those hormones don't stay limited to that cow, they do transfer to the milk.
Oh,
And
absolutely.
there are many researchers proving that like many different types of cancer, especially breast cancer, is
Awesome.
has a direct link with the consumption of milk. So this wasn't the case 100 years back, or some like a particular number of years back. When the cows were treated with love, they were just considered a family member of their just like any other family member. And injecting the cows, doing artificial insemination, and all those other practices were not very prevalent as they are in today's day and age.
Okay. All right. So just modern day dairy, you know, whether it's a Desi cow or a Holstein variety that we have over here in Europe, or it's goats or it's sheep, is not part of the treatment methodology that you deliver at the Satvic movement. It's completely not included, dairy.
Yeah. But in case you have a cow which is treated well, that you're sure of,
Yeah.
which is fed with fresh grass, the
Yeah.
calf stays with the cow, and the calf really nourishes on its mother's milk, then you can have milk freely, because it's like, but it's the sad part, it's a rare reality in today's day and age.
Okay. All right. And I think, you know, the problem of dairy over here in the UK is multiplied by 10 times really what you're experiencing in India. The cows are wrong, the food is wrong, they're all injected, they're modified through breeding to produce more and more and more milk. So we're quite far ahead of you in terms of the commoditization of cows, or all animals really, over here. So we've got living food, we've got wholesome food, we've got plant-based foods, and we've got one more W to go.
Yeah, so the last W stands for water-rich food. That
Water rich.
means
Okay.
the food that we are eating should be rich in water. Now, what does that mean? So water-rich foods are those foods which have natural content of water, naturally high content of water. So a human body is 70% fluid and 30% mass, and 30% you can call it. It includes bones and flesh and all of that, and 70% is water. So at Satvic, we say that your plate should also have this ratio of 70% and 30%. Throughout the day, all the meals that you're taking, 70% of that should be water rich, naturally water rich. Now, what does that mean? So imagine that there is cucumber or apple, and you put it in a juicer, and the juice would come out of it, right? But when you put bread into the juicer, or when you put dal as it is, the whole dal, any pulse, any grain into the juicer, it would just block the juicer, nothing would come out. So all the pulses, the grains, the nuts and seeds come in the water poor category, and all the fruits and vegetables come in the water rich category. So it's very important that most of our diet consists of water rich food, and a technical or the scientific term for water rich can also be called as alkaline food, and water poor can also be said as acidic food. So as many researchers are proving nowadays, that alkaline diet is the diet most suited for a healthy body, and acidic diet is the one that causes many lifestyle diseases. The main core is that there's a lot of water poor foods in the diet. So yes, this is the last principle that of the whole food philosophy, that our food should be water rich in fruits and vegetables, and lower in grains and water poor elements.
Okay, and so you guys have had great success then with removing toxins from food and improving the nutrition from food that people are taking in, and that's able to allow them to kind of have a healthier body. I mean, I know it's like you say, it's not one specific part, it's the whole that makes the difference. So I imagine with the diet, it's not one specific food, it's the whole diet that makes the difference. That being said, what are some really useful foods? What are some supremely healthy foods, or supremely useful foods for people who are looking to heal themselves? Is there any?
So
what about amla, for instance? Amla, just putting it out there.
Amla is in season in India. It's winter, and it's excellent. It's an excellent source of vitamin C, and it only comes for a specific duration of months. So we usually say that eat as much as you can. And so including a lot of color in the diet, including a lot of color on the plate is what we can share. That the more the color, the more the variety in your food, the more complete is your diet. We would suggest that, yeah, different vegetables like spinach, cucumber, tomatoes, zucchinis, all the colorful vegetables that are there with the vegetable person. Grab them all, try, experiment, make a salad, make a soup out of them, and then have it. So the more the variety, the more the color, the better it is.
Okay. And those colors, what do they represent? Like, why would you want a variety of colors? What do those colors represent? is it they represent antioxidants or minerals or vitamins or such like?
I'm not sure about it. What colors represent.
Yeah,
Um,
it is antioxidants.
I think it's a phytochemical, if I'm not
Yeah,
wrong. It's the different colors uh, have some different chemicals, but yeah, I'm not very sound in that area.
yeah, phytonutrients, I think, isn't it?
Phytonutrients, yeah, yeah.
Okay, so there's a saying, isn't there? Eat the rainbow or whatever, and I guess that principle matches. So the color, a wide variety of colorful foods and a wide variety of different foods makes for a complete meal. That's great. And so that's the food side of things. What other things do you bring in to help people with their healing? Do you get people to start running or exercising regularly or doing yoga or something like this?
So in the healing stage, because our whole discussion is around that, in the healing stage, we recommend doing light exercises, because there's this whole concept of a healing force, this healing energy, which is there in the body. We call it pran shakti, and it's busy in the healing work. So yoga and light stretching, light walking exercises are recommended in the healing stage. And as and when you heal your disease, you reverse your disease, the intensity of the exercises can go up. So yes, exercise is an important pillar. Then there are wet packs and enemas that I shared earlier. Yeah, this is it. But if anyone wants to dive really deep into it about the healing science, we're creating a course. Uh, for now, it's called Heal Yourself course, and it's a 10-day course. A person can enroll into it and get a complete knowledge on how, like, what all basic elements are needed to be able to reverse any chronic health problem.
Okay. And I mean, I know I've seen, just looking at the website and some of the other information that you've got some good tips and tricks, because obviously you're trying to, you mentioned the 30-70 principle, where 70% should be water rich foods and 30% more dry foods like grains, etc. So with making rotis or chapatis, you have a method where you might blend spinach or beetroot to kind of enhance the nutrients in the food, and also reduce the amount of grains being used and increase the amount of vegetables in there. So that I thought was a very novel approach, and also makes for very colorful chapatis, doesn't it? Which is fun.
Lot many colors. Kids especially love it. Like there's beetroot chapati, there's spinach chapati, there's pumpkin chapati. Any vegetable you simply blend and you put it in the flour, and there's a wide range of colors that you can get.
Okay, so what's your message then? We're fast approaching the end of the interview, but what is your message then to people who are listening out there who are suffering with, I don't know, IBS, arthritis, diabetes, eczema, skin problems? What would you like to say to those people, Himadri?
So my message to everyone, whether they're suffering from a disease right now or they're not suffering from a disease, is to really take the responsibility of their health in their own hands. Like there's this feeling that I can't do anything about it. It just happened to me. It's happening to everyone, and that's why it happens to me, and I don't have a role to play. The doctor will do everything. So taking responsibility is the first, like igniting that spirit that, okay, I can heal from this particular health problem, and the ways would open. But yeah, taking that responsibility that I am responsible for this health condition, and then I am responsible for reversing it also. That's the only message that I want to convey to everyone.
Okay, great. And if people want to find out more about what you guys are doing, you did give a bit of information earlier. Perhaps you can just cover again where best to find you, Satvic Movement.
All right. So for people who want to reverse a health problem, where we will be soon launching a disease reversal program called Heal Yourself. It's named Heal Yourself, but we're not sure of the name yet. So it's a 10-day program that a person can view. And apart from that, we also have a signature 21-day workshop, which is called the Ultimate Health Challenge. And there we talk about 7 habits ranging from your mind, your body, your detoxification of body, everything. So it's a very, very holistic program wherein one small change is introduced each day so that it's sustainable for a person to lead a healthy lifestyle and not just watch a particular session, get motivated and forget it the other day. So to really bring it into life, to really implement it, that program is designed in such a way. And we usually keep updating our workshops on our Instagram, that is Satvic Movement, as on stories and on our website also, satvicmovement.org.
Okay, so that's Satvic is STSATVIC, and then movement, and the website is .org, was it?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, lovely. I wish I had more time to speak to you today. It's been an eye-opening interview. Thank you very much for taking the time to explain the work that you guys are doing and the approach that you're taking over there. I hope it might be useful to some of our listeners. And with that, finally, I'd just like to ask you, what's your own personal favorite food, Himadri?
My personal favorite food is avial and lemon rice. So avial is a South Indian dish which has many, many vegetables. I just absolutely love South Indian food. And lemon rice, yeah, both of these things.
Lovely. Sounds righteous already, and my mouth is watering. So thank you once again for taking the time to join me here today, and all the listeners at Fever 107.3 FM. That was Himadri Pareek from Satvic Movement over in Gurgaon near Delhi.
Thank you so much. It was a lovely conversation, and I really hope that it helps many, many people.
Thank you. Namaste ji.
Namaste.